Great. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining today's session. I think we're ready to begin. I'm going to hand over to you, Trung, if you'd like to kick us off.
Thank you, Tim. Morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us again for this interactive DLP coffee session with CoSoSys and Askaris. Many thanks for that. Just a couple of introductions to kick it off. So it's going to be presented by myself from Askaris and also Carmen from CoSoSys.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
So just a brief introduction and also high-level agenda of what we're going to be going through today. So introduction to Askaris, introduction to CoSoSys. There is a couple of questions to the audience just to have an interaction and ask you your thoughts around DLP. Then we'll go into figures and facts around data loss prevention, also how CoSoSys can assist around data loss. Further questions around, I suppose, the mobile workplace, and then also a live demo followed by Q&A. And then right at the end of it, I'll put a note. We will do a quiz. There are 3 prizes to win on this quiz. So there is, third place will be a very snazzy USB, I suppose, a USB stick. Second place is a voucher, £6 voucher, and then first place is a £100 voucher. So again, there is a quiz at the end for you guys to pick up some prizes. Next one, Carmen, please. So just a bit of introduction about Askaris. Askaris, we are a cybersecurity solutions provider. It was born in 1999 by our managing director, Sean Allison, who built it to a turnover of roughly £3 million. It was very much a lifestyle business. It's kind of moved on from there. It was acquired by Onyx Group, along with another 2 or 3 specialist security network companies. That was in 2005. In 2015, Askaris then split up from the group. Went on its own again with the techies who originally started it. It was, I suppose, 2.0, so I was building up again to be Askaris Cybersecurity. In 2020, we ventured out and also, I suppose, managed cybersecurity solutions, DLP, network security for a number of clients. Also building our brand, building the company, and also pushing the organization forward. This year, in 2021, there's been a very much exciting growth. So it came to the point of, where does the company want to go? What do we want to do? So there is a massive investment from the chairman to I suppose, recruit a very specialist sales team to expand our security offering away from Checkpoint and our previous vendors. And we decided to root out and actually offer a fully fledged cybersecurity offering. So that's where we are. Currently, we employ roughly about 40 staff across the group. That ranges from a mix of technical and sales. Askaris are mainly, I definitely say mainly, and this is probably one of our key attributes, is that we're technical. You know, technical comes first. Our technical expertise is next to none. So that's what we really concentrate on. Over to the next page, Carmen. So mentioned about Askaris, we're a full turnkey cybersecurity company. We do pre-sales, we do scoping, we do project rollout, and we also manage what we offer as well. We have 3 main key offices. You've got the UK, you've got Dubai, and also you've got American, which is Guyana office. Our bread and butter has always been Checkpoint. We are probably one of 6 technical Checkpoint partners in Europe. We hold very high accreditations around Checkpoint. At the moment, estimated close for 2021 is going to be about £6 million. Our aim over the next 5 years will be £25 million turnover. Vertical wise, I suppose we cross multi verticals, but as you can see, the main verticals which we do touch and we do specialize in is oil, gas, telecoms, defense, technology, construction, finance, which isn't on there, but we do have a lot of finance clients, but also public sector. We're very good on public sector, and we have some very good key account directors who deal with public sector. We're on a number of frameworks, Crown Commercial Services, G Cloud, and one of our key, I'd definitely say one of our key partnerships is CoSoSys. We aren't one of those companies which collect badges, you know, tier 1 badges. We look what's out in the marketplace when it comes to vendors who offer something special for our clients, who really have a niche offering, who really adds value to cybersecurity. So yes, we do have a couple of badges. However, our vendor portfolio, if you look at it, is next generation and emerging technologies, stuff which comes out into the marketplace, which people look at and think, wow, they're brilliant. So enough about Askaris. I'm going to pass it over to Carmen, who will then go into the presentation and also CoSoSys as well.
Thank you, Trang. For a little bit about myself, my name is Carmen Oprita. I'm the sales manager for EMEA at CoSoSys. Today is actually a special day for me. It marks my 12-year anniversary, work anniversary for the company. So I'm happy to be here with you. To get started with a bit of introduction about our solution and about CoSoSys. So we offer an endpoint-based cross-platform DLP solution that will help mitigate insider threats, protect your intellectual property, and also protect sensitive data, thus helping with regulations like GDPR, PCI DSS, and others. CoSoSys was founded in 2004, and since then we help our customers safeguard their data, also comply to certain regulations. And we have also been included in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for enterprise data loss prevention, as well as Forrester and Radicati reports for enterprise DLP. And also, these are a few testimonials from a few of our customers. So we work with various customers, you know, different company sizes, but also very different verticals. So we work a lot with financial companies, with healthcare institutions, and also with government and others. So to get started with our interactive session for today, we have a question for you. What do you consider to be sensitive data in your organization? So for this, I would like to ask you to raise hand, use the functionality for raising hand, and then I will, okay, Aaron.
Hi, Carmen. Can you hear me?
Yes, Aaron. Hi.
Hi. So personal identifiable information is obviously data that's very sensitive within our organization. You know, to lose all this information would mean that not only would your business be down for days, potentially weeks, but to lose that information would mean that you're uncompliant. And, you know, especially if you're trying to adhere to strict accreditation, such as ISO 27001, you know, that would be a disaster for us. You know, we would need sufficient data loss prevention and protection within our organization. It's just paramount. You know, it would really, really affect our business if we didn't have that technology in place.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And yeah, personal identifiable information is important for regulations, even as GDPR. Which applies to all companies. And actually, this will bring me to the next question that we have for our audience. If your company need to comply to any regulations, and if so, what kind of regulations? So again, I will ask you if you can to use the functionality for raising hand, and I will unmute you. Let's see if we have some attendees willing to share with us what kind of regulations they need to comply with. One second, I have to. I have a raised hand, but you can unmute.
Hey, Carmen, I thought I'd just chuck my 2 pennies worth in this conversation. So I suppose the ones which I probably see a lot of people need to comply with are the likes of PCI, DSS, but also the biggie out there is GDPR, right? GDPR,
yeah, sure.
Everyone has to comply with that. So they're the ones which kind of crop to my mind.
Yes, that's a very good point. And we have Tom.
Hi, good morning.
Hey, Tom, good morning.
Hi, good morning. I work in a bank, so obviously things like regulated by FCA, PRA, and then you've got aspects. It's quite complicated because obviously with Brexit, all the stuff that kind of EU directives that are out there, like PSD2. Around authentications, strong customer authentication, which then the FCA have adopted, and in the UK it's kind of mandated through the Payment Services Regulation 2017. So it's quite a complex landscape. But yeah, GDPR, FCA stuff, PRA, Payment Services Regulation. Yeah, there's quite a few.
Yeah, I mean, and we also know from experience with our customers that the financial industry is, I think, the most regulated industry out there. So we definitely know about this. Okay, anybody else? Tom. Okay. Okay, I think we can also move on. I think we covered anyway the most important ones. And moving on, we have some data about the costs and causes of data breaches. Yeah, I mean, the costs for data breaches are quite high, and they also rose in 2021. But I think all the data that we have here, right, it doesn't surprise anybody. And of course, the 95% of the IT leaders believe their data is at risk, and this is with good reason. I see Tom raised a hand. Do you have a question, Tom?
Sorry, I don't think I actually lowered my hand. It's just, is it down now? Sorry, I'm just sitting here with my hand up.
That's fine. So after this data about the costs of data losses, we are here also to share with you how we can help with preventing data loss. So we have 2 components, and how we included them on this slide as well: protecting data on the move. And we think here that having an endpoint agent, so something installed on the computer, will ensure that the DLP policies are enforced no matter where that computer is located, no matter if that computer is in the company network or not. And then monitoring corporate data. This means that any suspicious transfer or transfers of sensitive information will be immediately flagged if you have this endpoint solution. So having these two components with monitoring and safeguarding, right, the company data, let's see how exactly we are able to do that with our solution. So we've split somehow our solution into 4 components, 4 modules we call them, which are licensed separately. So first of all, we have the data loss prevention part with content-aware protection and e-discovery. With content-aware protection, we are scanning sensitive data in motion. With e-discovery, we are scanning sensitive data at rest, so on the computer, on the endpoint. Then we also have another part of our solution with device control and enforced encryption. So with device control, we are offering a very granular way of managing USB devices, but also any other kind of device. And related to that, with enforced encryption, we are able to encrypt and enforce encryption on external devices. All the modules are compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. This is very important for our solution, except for enforced encryption, which is available for Windows and Mac only. And we also offer 0-day support for Windows and Mac. So as I've mentioned, with the 2 components that we have for Endpoint Protector, for the DLP side, we identify and protect the corporate data. So here we will be able to build policies, or we can choose from a catalog of policies to protect PIIs or intellectual property, thus helping us with compliance like GDPR, HIPAA, or PCI. And the second part of our solution is this one with the device control and enforced encryption for the storage devices. And the next topic that we wanted to cover for today is the human factor. So as we have here is the human factor is the most difficult to control and predict when it comes to data security and protection. And Endpoint Protector helps minimize data loss by the human factor, even if this data loss is intentional or unintentional, because many times can happen that the data loss incident occurs without any intention from the end user. And here we have another question for our audience. What was your biggest security challenge with the hybrid work model? Because here the human factor was, as its center, I would say. So let's see if we have some raised hands. Okay, Phil.
Hello there. The biggest challenge really is going from people working in an office. They would normally or traditionally be sort of protected by sort of high-end firewalls and other systems. When we've kind of moved to a working at home model, which I know we're all doing, I'm still doing it, that's gone. So there's now a lot more emphasis on the user's end device sort of being the point of which is the strongest, because those firewalls don't exist anymore. So that's the biggest kind of challenge, I'd say, is to strengthen the security on users' end devices and make sure they are using it correctly. And yeah, following best practices to try and remove that human error element. But yeah, it's not possible to remove it completely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very good point. It's not possible to remove it completely, but we have to do our best. And yeah, like you mentioned, Phil, the endpoint is now the most exposed or the most important element that we have to protect. Yeah. Okay. Do we have any other comments for this? I wanted to add, this is again with by speaking to many customers, moving to the hybrid work environment actually meant a lot of overhead for the IT departments because they had to issue new laptops. Sometimes they had to change configurations, they had to install new solutions. I think this is also something that I've noticed when speaking to clients and also partners, and also just to tie it in a little bit with our product, it helps a lot if you have some solutions that are easy to manage and easy to install and easy to deploy, because this will just lower the overhead and the pressure somehow on the IT department. Okay, Trang, I see you raise hand.
Again, speaking with a number of clients around this this conversation, I hate to bring it back to that COVID or pre-COVID stroke COVID situation, but when a lot of companies had to go from working in the office to sending their staff out to home with mobile devices and laptops, security was probably the least on their agenda at the time, right? It was more of a case of sending them out, here's a laptop, log on and crack on. And then everyone's trying to play catch up with the security element of things. So, and people still are trying to play catch up with the security elements, whether that be authentication, but there's massive concerns, speaking with a number of my clients, that, you know, they don't have the security measures in place to prevent any data loss or you know, any additional security features. So it's still an ongoing conversation. You know, yes, people are going back in the office at the moment, yeah, that's going to make things better, but it's not. People are still going to have that hybrid working environment moving forward. Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. We've also seen it. Hybrid means working at home and in the office, and yeah, we will still work from home for a while from now. Tom also raised hand.
Yeah, hi. So I think just changing the culture. So if because obviously this thing kind of swept across quite quickly, right? I mean, and you know, there were rumors about something happening in December 2019, and before you know it, March 2020, everyone's in lockdown, sending people home. But actually, I found making it work and getting the solutions. You know, everyone getting Zoom licenses and ramping up, and that's quite easy because the technology exists. I mean, we can work from home securely. But in terms of getting the mindset, and this goes like right to the top, you know, the execs, the board. Around, you know, going from that 5 days in the office to allowing everyone to work remotely and kind of rolling out the solutions, getting everyone onboarded and just changing, making that as part of your policy that we are now a flexible organization. We now support remote working, we support BYOD. It's almost that mindset, using SaaS-based collaborative platforms. Yeah, I found the biggest challenge was around the mindset and just adjusting as an organization. It's almost like trying to turn a tanker. Getting someone to work remotely and collaborate is easy. We can all do that. But yeah, more of an internal challenge than the external factors.
I think Tom, you had a great point actually, and so I will move on to the next slide, because it was a nice segue from Tom to this. I mean, of course, we are discussing, and you know, we are discussing about challenges that we see, but we are also here to offer or just give our take on this and offer some best practices for a secure hybrid model. And what Tom mentioned was about changing the mindset, but also train your workforce. What I have here, the fourth point here, and is very related to the human factor, right? Training is very important, and also, we think that even DLP solutions can help with that. So for example, in our Endpoint Protector solution, we have a feature, user remediation. So with this feature, when a user is trying to send out some sensitive information, you know, that is violating a policy, they will get the question, are you sure you want to transfer this information? This is considered sensitive information. If they wish to proceed, if they are sure, they need to input a justification. So this is also, you know, very important, training your workforce. Then also we have identified that enforcing the device security is important. Like also it was mentioned earlier, the endpoint needs to be very secured. So here, of course, there are solutions in place for this, but also just being up to date with the latest security patches from solutions, but also from the operating systems themselves. So having the last version for Windows or for macOS is very important. And here, again, I come back to the zero-day support that we offer. So you would be able to use and install the latest version of the OS, but also have the DLP solution work as intended. Then the second point here about zero trust, never trust, also verify, always verify. This is again quite important in this environment where employees are working from home as well. And then also securing your cloud-based solutions and services. Because it was mentioned before, we now use a lot more collaboration tools, cloud solutions. So we should really pay attention to the data that we are uploading to these cloud repositories and these collaboration tools. Okay, Trang has another comment here.
I'm going to ask the audience, whilst we're on this subject about having a cloud environment, it'd be good to ask the audience to see their thoughts around their data in the cloud. Is there any concerns from the audience around, where their data is going? It's probably worth that question, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay. Trang, what was your experience working with your customers and how they are safeguarding their data in the cloud?
I wouldn't go into the safeguarding, but I definitely think now that cloud is a bit more adopted, and there's so many cloud applications where data can be stored, that there's a risk of losing control of where their personal identifiable information is going to go, right? So, with OneDrive, with Google Drive, and a lot more cloud applications, there is a bigger risk of controlling that data. There's a bigger risk of data leakage. So yeah, clients need to be kind of aware of that, but also, what's everyone else's thoughts? Are they controlling the cloud applications? It'd be good to hear from you guys.
I think Tom has a comment.
Yes, sorry, me again. I think there's two aspects. There's security in the cloud, and then there's security of the cloud. I think where we are with cloud services now, as far as platforms go, they are designed to secure your data. How you deploy the cloud is a whole other issue. And going back to your point, things like OneDrive and most things are kind of encrypted at rest and then secure in transit, that kind of thing. But when you deploy, when you move to the cloud, it's almost like making sure that you've configured it correctly, so those users that are accessing are doing so in a secure manner. If you don't allow concurrent logons on your network with your account, why would you allow it with Microsoft 365 accounts, for example? So it's things like that. It's just making sure that the configuration of the cloud is secure. But as far as a platform, I think when it was in its kind of infancy, cloud was deemed as this scary thing. No, we're going to keep everything on our private cloud. We're definitely not moving to the cloud. But now, as far as offerings go, it's secure, providing you configure it properly.
I'm guessing we're probably going to go back to that conversation, say 4 or 5 years ago, where cloud started coming new. I wouldn't say new, but people weren't so sure about it. But nowadays, I'm guessing cloud is more knowledge. People have knowledge around the cloud. There's more security measures in place. Whereas, say, 5, 6 years ago, shadow IT, right? There's a lot of shadow IT, and it still is in essence. But I think nowadays it's more controllable.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, you still do your due diligence when you kind of move anything to the cloud, you know, things like, you know, looking at the SOC type 2 reports, that kind of stuff. But generally, I think it's down to organizations how they configure, you know, that service that they use.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
Great points. Does anybody want to add anything for this? Let's see. I don't think so. So this will conclude the presentation part. And now we can jump into the console. So we can take a look at some policies and how we can build them. So this will be a short part. If you have any specific questions about the product, again, you can raise the hand and we are happy to answer. If not, you can also use the Q&A session and we have somebody to answer specific questions. And before I go to the actual product interface, wanted to mention here very shortly the deployment options that are available for Endpoint Protector. So we offer an on-premise solution with a virtual appliance. This is very scalable, but easy to install as well. So it's one server, one image. Then we also have instances available to be shared with our customers, Amazon Web Services or Azure or Google Cloud accounts. And we also have an option where we host the server for the customer. This will be hosted in AWS in the zone that the customer prefers to have. So this is our software as a service offering. And this is a server part, and then the agent is a very small application, about 35 megabytes, the endpoint agent that needs to be deployed on all computers. And the agent is enforcing the policies at the endpoint level. Now I will log in to our live demo server. I've already mentioned the modules that we cover: device control, content-aware protection, e-discovery, and enforced encryption. They are licensed separately. And except for that, of course, we have other menus to view reports, configure alerts. We have some nice dashboards as well, and then integration with SIEM solutions, two-factor authentication, on-premise Active Directory, and also Azure Active Directory. So these are just for ease of administration. So for the device control part, you are able to set very granular rights policies for any device that you can connect to a Windows, Mac, or a Linux computer. There are many devices that we support, and for these devices, it's possible to set the policies globally, which means for the entire organization, based on groups. These can be groups from Active Directory or groups that you can create in the Endpoint Protector server, based on users and computers. And then the highest level of granularity will be at the device level. This is for exceptions. It will be very easy to configure an exception for a specific device having a particular serial number. For example, for this particular device to be allowed just for a particular user or computer. So this is very easy to be done from our solution. And we've seen also with the hybrid work model that now employees have access to all kinds of devices that before they didn't have access to, just because they were inside the company's office. Then for the DLP side, for content-aware protection, we are scanning sensitive data in motion. So when the user will try to send some sensitive data. And for this one, we have a catalog of policies for GDPR compliance or PCI DSS or HIPAA compliance, or we can create a specific policy. And you could see there that we have policies for Windows, Mac, or Linux. And just taking an example of Windows policy, we would first select our exit points. What exactly do we want to monitor? Do we want to monitor transfers, uploads to web browsers or email clients or instant messaging applications or cloud services or different kinds of applications? Or if you want to monitor transfers to storage devices or to and from network shares or print screens or even files being sent out to printers. And then the next part is where we define what our sensitive information is. This is why we also included the question in the beginning, because sensitive information can mean different things for different types of companies. So for example, for companies in the media industry or in manufacturing, they would look at these media files or CAD files. Companies in IT and telecom would look at the source code as being their intellectual property. This is sensitive information for them. For compliances, usually our customers just work with this set here for the predefined content. Here we are able to automatically detect credit cards, addresses, social security numbers, IDs, and so on. These are also country specific. Then you are also able to set your own custom content. And here we include also classification tags. So if a file is classified as confidential from Bolden James, for example, or Titus, we would be able to detect that tag, and you would be able to have a policy in which these sort of files are blocked, for example, or reported. And of course, we also have a regular expression editor. And finally, you would apply the policy on groups or computers or even user level. Okay. And to continue a little bit with the DLP part, with the next module, e-discovery, we are discovering sensitive data in motion, at rest. So here our agent will scan the local computer looking for the sensitive information that is matching with our policy. So again, we can have a policy to detect personal identifiable information. For example, this part is very similar with where we can select our sensitive information. The interesting thing, I think, for e-discovery is where we can see the results, right? After a scan is finished. We can see, for example, that on my colleague Zoran's computer, he has a lot of personal identifiable information from the US, social security numbers from the US. And we can see the meshed items, the very sensitive information, even credit card numbers we mask even in the logs. And we can see the files. And then for each of these items, we have, as an administrator, we have these options to encrypt the file on Zoran's computer. We can later decrypt it, or we can delete it on his computer. Okay. And finally, with enforced encryption. With enforced encryption, we are encrypting a regular device. And from that moment on, when we have this policy, from that moment on, the user is only able to transfer data from the computer to that encrypted part of the device. And even more, as an administrator, you would be able to enforce a complex password for the user. You are able to restrict users, if you wish, that they only use these devices on a company computer. And then also you would be able to send a message, you would be able to change the user password and even reset the device. And then very shortly for the report section, because this is quite important for any solution, right? The kind of visibility or data you are having as an administrator. Here we can see some examples where a policy was blocking credit card numbers. Here it was documents uploaded to a web browsers. to a web browser, Chrome. And here we can see that my colleague Chris transferred this Amex credit card number, and he was uploading it to this website, dlptest.com. Okay, and these are the main functionalities that I wanted to shortly cover here today. We are happy to go into more detailed product presentation for you if you wish. This was just a very important functionality that we have as part of our solution. And I think now we have a bit of time for a Q&A session. And afterwards, we can also share with you the quiz. We have a short quiz. And we also have some interesting prizes for the first 3 scores that we have for the quiz. So let's see if we have some questions. Trang or Dan, could you paste the link for the quiz in the chat?
I've sent
Tom.
an email. I've sent an email containing the link to all participants in terms of the quiz itself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, Tom.
Sure. Hi.
Hey.
With regards to the kind of discovery of sensitive data, I'm guessing the tool picks up things like headers and footers. So if you're asking people to classify information based on your kind of internal classification scheme, is that how the tool would pick up documents or is that something that's flexible? Because obviously you can either manually put in headers and footers and labels in headers and footers, or you can, for example, use Microsoft 365 Compliance Suite has an add-on that lets you classify PowerPoint, Excel, Word documents. So what's the kind of capability for detecting and identifying the different classifications?
So it's working, I think, similarly as you have described. We scan the whole file, including the header of the file. So, and there you would have the classification tag. So this is how we would pick it up. If you would like to refine a little bit the policy, we have these thresholds that you can set if you find one or more, let's say, violations of the policy. And for the content-aware protection module, we also have a contextual piece where you can set that our agent will also look at the surroundings, let's say, of that term that was matching.
Sure.
Okay, anybody else? Did everybody receive their email with the link for the quiz? We have some questions over there. They refer to what we covered today, but yeah, they are not very difficult. So we hope to have some good answers over there and be able to give out these nice prizes.
So quickly checking, Dan, the quiz has been sent out to attendees, is that right?
I've received it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
So what we'll do is once the quiz gets answered, if you respond, then we'll collate the answers and we'll be in touch to see if you have won and what you have won. So feel free to participate.
Will do, thank you.
So on that note, is there any further questions from the audience at all?
We have a question in the chat from Phil asking, my end users are all using G Suite and for the best part, not many files should be stored locally. Will this work well if at all with the G Suite?
Yeah, we also use G Suite as a company, and so it depends on the module somehow, or on the functionality that this question is referring to. So for the content-aware protection part, so when the file is moved somewhere or is sent somewhere else, then we are able to work with the G Suite. For the e-discovery piece, where our agent is scanning for sensitive information, we are able to scan the local computer. Okay, no open questions, I think. And Latron mentioned after we receive all the answers, we will select the winners, and Askaris team will contact the winners to hand out the prizes.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Carmen. Appreciate that. And hopefully that was some nice information around DLP, CoSoSys, what they do around DLP. Of course, if you wanted to dig deeper into the CoSoSys solution set, we can arrange a demo, a live demo, and dig deeper. But thank you very much for everyone attending. Thank you for your time. Hopefully you've enjoyed the coffee and the tea and the biscuits. Please give us feedback if the tea and coffee was actually nice and the biscuits were nice. If not, then we could also change brands for next time. But we'll be in touch with the responses on the quiz, and fingers crossed you pick up a prize.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Trung.
Cheers, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.